Hello and welcome to All For United WFC. I'm Barry, just in case you're not sure. That's Sarah just over there, just below us is Ellie. And we've got another one on the way, but I think the train strikes have caught him out at the moment and he's just struggling a little bit with his laptop. But we are here via the miracles of light shining through into your iPads, telephones, whatever you might have, TV, tablet, we're here. And it's a pleasure to be here with you as we look at this slightly delayed situation that we've got, having not played yesterday like we should have done, but never mind, because life's fluid, isn't it? And there we are. We're all here today instead. 2 Saturday shows for WFC in a row. Unheard of. Be interesting to see what's going on. Like I say, we've got Matt coming up soon, but Sarah, how the devil are you? Lovely to have you back on.
Yeah, lovely to be back. I'm very well.
Excellent. That's what we like to hear. And Ellie, who's been chomping at the bit to say hello to you all. So say hi, Ellie.
Hi, everyone. Glad to be back.
Excellent. And of course, we've got Sarah there in the chat as well. TJ's here with us. T-phones, exactly. Can you imagine, right? I've got coffee, but imagine a T-phone. That would be amazing. Love that. Something where you could speak on the phone whilst having the tea. You know, a bit like one of those hats that you Americans like to wear, where you can put the beer in the side and through the straw. I think that could be amazing. I'm going to think about that one, see what I can do. It's a very English suggestion. I like it. John Neville, nice to see you too. Ref, top of the evening to you. And Joseph, welcome to you too. But do you know there were comments already last night before we even got here? So let's have a little look at those now, shall we? Because Barry will forget. And it's from a Spurs fan. So hopefully if Luke is tuning in or he watches it back, he will see that he is right at the beginning where he said it's a crucial game on Sunday. So big for both teams for very different reasons. Beth England has been superb. Took her goal so well to make it 2-2 versus Brighton, was typical of what she does. And he then went on to ask a question. As United fans, are you slightly concerned you're conceding quite a few goals recently? Brighton in the FA Cup, Villa, Tottenham got to go for it too, so I hope we get a really intriguing match. I'll go to you for that one first of all. Sarah, do you feel like we are conceding too many goals? Has there been a little bit of a worry there for you in that?
Well, we obviously are conceding more goals lately than we were, but I wouldn't say I'm worried, to be honest. I mean, I think all teams go through these kind of patches. We're scoring enough goals at the other end, so it doesn't really concern me. And, you know, in the case of the Villa game, I mean, you'll always get people maybe who, you know, weren't happy with the performance or the fact that we probably made it difficult for ourselves. But you look at the elation when Millie Turner scored that winning goal. It was really United all over. You know, it's one of those classic comebacks that we expect. And like, you know, you can't be scoring 5, 6, 7 goals every game. It's not that simple. So sometimes you have to do it the hard way. And I think at this stage of the season, the results are what matter the most. So I'm not too worried.
Ellie, we'll throw the same question over to you, but just to point out that it's been hit and miss. You know, yes, we conceded 2 against Villa, but we conceded none in the game before against Arsenal. Yes, we conceded 2 against Brighton, but conceded none in the game against Brighton that was prior to that. Even before then, you then go to West Ham, where we didn't concede. Lewis obviously managed to score past us, and Chelsea, odd goals at that point. Ellie, any worries about our defence going into this game at the weekend?
No, not at all, because like Sarah just said, it's about sometimes them Fergie time winners, they're the most special ones. It's not about scoring 5, 6, 7. It's not about scoring all them. So sometimes I think that's what we need, like some Fergie time winners, not all like flashing all teams. And to be fair, I think our defence has been really good, like Mayer and Aoife and Millie. But then I think them two have been switching around quite recently. Millie for Aoife and all that. But maybe I think Millie might even get a start tomorrow because of how good she did against Villa. So, yeah, I think our defence have been top-notch this season, to be honest. Same with Mary in the net. They've been really outstanding this season.
I mean, they have been outstanding. You're right. And a quick look at the WSL table tells us everything that we need to know. I mean, we've conceded 11 goals this season, which is the same at the moment as Arsenal. Very annoying that we've let them level it back up with us again. But even then, you look at Chelsea with 15, Man City have conceded 19, which is only 2 less than Everton in 6th. So our defence has been absolutely brilliant. I don't think we can argue that. But would you go along, Sarah, with what Joseph's put here? It's not a concern for me as long as we're putting more than what we are conceding, scoring more, I think is what you're saying there, which is the case because, again, as we've been mentioning all season, we've scored 50 goals so far this season in the WSL, which is 5 more than the nearest to us, which is Manchester City. So it's all about that balance, isn't it? But then I suppose really, and it's going to sound like the stupidest, most obvious thing that could ever be said, but if you're scoring more than anybody else and conceding less than everybody else, the chances are you're going to be up there fighting for the title.
Yeah. I mean, I do think it's more important. If we were having problems scoring, I would be worried. I mean, remember the Everton draw, the 0-0 draw, and there was a lot of concern, I think, about just our finishing and, not hitting the target. I mean, it is still a bit of a concern. I mean, there have been a lot of chances wasted in recent games as well. So there's room for improvement there, I think. But yeah, I mean, our defense has been so solid, and I'd be surprised if there wasn't the occasional lapse. You don't want it to happen, obviously, but I mean, I think we're in quite a lucky position at the moment. There's talk in the comments there about deciding between playing Millie or Aoife tomorrow, and I think that's a really good position to be in because they've both been absolutely superb. And then obviously Millie chipping in with goals as well has been fantastic. So yeah, I think it's a good headache to have.
Apologies. That was just Matt just checking in, telling us how he's getting on with his laptop at the moment. And then I was reading his text. How very unprofessional of me. Connor will be devastated. But your points, Sarah, were absolutely spot on. But Highlane has put on here. He'd argue some of the defensive lapses recently should raise some eyebrows. Set pieces were a big issue in the Villa game in particular. I mean, he mentions that we did concede. Obviously, the goal that Rachel Daly scored initially was from there. We possibly could have had 1 or 2 other goals against us. They did hit the bar a couple of times. So I do see the point that's being made there. Sarah Sproston suggests, therefore, do we go Mannion, do we go Millie? To which TJ responds to Highlane. Set pieces, both for and against us. Obviously, Millie Turner scoring from a set piece, as well as her height and her pretty phenomenal heading ability as well. So, and we know you're not saying that, TJ. We know that you love Mannion. We all love Mannion. So, that's all good. But, Ellie, where would you stand with that? Are you worried about the things like the free kicks? Because I still maintain that they were just very good free kicks, and a really well taken, well thought out set piece will catch out a lot of teams. That's the reason why you get lots of teams lower down in the league when they do well against you and nick results. It's often from set pieces because they spend time training, working on them, learning those routines, making them second nature. So therefore, is it a surprise really that teams might catch you out with a set piece? Is that something we should be worried about? I don't know. You tell me.
No, not at all. Not now. There's no point being worried right now because you see the table for itself where we are. If it was I don't know, under 4th, maybe 4th, then yeah, I'd raise a concern at that. But not at the minute now. The set pieces that teams have scored against us, yeah, fair enough. Sometimes it's from corners or just assists made by the other person. But really, I think we've got a good defence, and I think the table argues for itself really. So no, I wouldn't be worried right now. Not where we are in the league.
I mean, I'd agree. And Sarah makes a great point here, one that I really should have remembered myself. That was our first set piece we've conceded at the Villa game. It was the first set piece. Somebody actually came on the show I am 99% sure it might have been John Commode. I'm not sure. But he was throwing out the statistic that we haven't conceded from a set piece, so we probably would against Villa. And I'm going to go back and watch, because if somebody did say that, then I'm going to blame them. It's actually nothing to do with the defence. You can't be jinxing people. Can you, Connor? It's not the right thing to do. But our defence has been pretty much rock solid all season. So, same question as I just asked Ellie there, Sarah. Do you think set pieces are something that it's obviously used in the arsenal of most teams when they're attacking, but specifically those teams that aren't necessarily playing the tiki-taka football, doing exceptionally well at getting the ball into the area and being able to play and own possession for the majority of the match? So are you concerned? I mean, Spurs, you would expect to be a team that are capable of doing both set pieces and scoring from open play. So does that worry you going into this game against Spurs?
Not really, to be honest. I mean, I'm sure it's something that, we've been working on in training. I'm sure it'll have been picked up on, and they'll probably know exactly what needs to be done to prepare for those kinds of scenarios. And I think you have to expect that teams will try that anyway. So no, I think our defense can deal with it. I'm not too worried at all, to be honest.
Marvellous. And the clear discussion at the moment is, do we go for Millie? Do we go for Mannion? And before we even get to that, Sarah has put her hands up. Might have been you, Sarah. That's not good. See, this is why you've got to be careful what you say beforehand. So yeah, Ellie, where would you go? Do you go Mannion or do you go Millie into this match?
There was a comment then and said something about keeping one of them for Wembley, and I fully agree. Because we need someone to get over past England. So yeah, I fully agree with that. Mannion at Wembley, Millie to Marvin, because we know she's the height of Millie. She can score overhead, but also she can keep Beth England quiet, I think. So yeah, I'd go Millie tomorrow.
You go Millie, Sarah? Would you go with that as well?
Yeah, I think I would, especially given, the last performance. I think it's worth rewarding that with a starting place. And Mannion at Wembley, I would agree. And she can always come off the bench tomorrow if the game calls for it. So I'd be happy to start Millie.
I know Millie has been part of, as we say, the majority of the season's defence. So the fact that we only conceded 11 goals, I think pretty much says it all, considering she was very responsible for us not conceding as many as we could have. So we can confirm. I did tell you we were waiting for somebody, and we were. We said there'd been a little bit of a train strike, problems going on there, dramas just getting round, all of those sorts of things. It could be anything. I just think he'd lost the charger, to be honest with you, and he was just struggling to find it. But I can confirm that he is here. So drum roll, everyone. He's back. It's been a very long time since we've been able to get him on the show. But here he is, as if by magic. Right there. There we go, Matt. Hello, mate. How are you?
Good evening. I'm good. How are you?
Very, very well, thank you. Just pleased that you managed to make it on. Listen, we've started the conversation. Obviously, we're talking a lot at the moment about defence, and just your thoughts really on whether or not you're worried about things like set pieces based on the fact we scored. So we conceded a couple of those at the game against Villa, and just your general consensus on how well we've been doing defensively, because Luke mentioned at the very, very beginning, we have conceded a few more goals lately. What's your thoughts?
I think, yes, we have conceded goals lately, but I think, 11 in the league conceded? It certainly looks a lot better than previous seasons. And I think it's been one of the reasons why we're sat where we are at the minute. And we're also in an FA Cup final. I think, you've got a solid defence, keepers getting better every season, Mary. It just bodes well. Obviously, I think we could still do with scoring a few more goals. But listen, I think, if you keep clean sheets, you're always going to be in the game, aren't you? So I think having a solid foundation helps us. I think having more options in defence that can come in and slot in helps. I think adding quality as well, has done us massive favours too. So, yeah, I think happy overall defensively. probably the best it's been since we started in 2018 for me.
Absolutely. And TJ is what I just said to you all about jinxing things. I've literally just come out of my mouth, and somebody said, TJ, just go and have a word in the corner with yourself, right? Just what have you done? We're going to have to say it now because it's there, it's out in the world. But I will have to admit, I have nightmares of harder 1v1v Mannion. That's where she tore her ACL right. Might have been. And if it was, then you've done a naughty. You've done a naughty. But this one I like. This one I like. Not just goals against, but best goal difference. And I think that is what is so brilliant about the way that we are going at the moment. Matt, I just wanted to come quickly back to you because I've spoken to the other two about this previously. But your thoughts on United this season, really, just the entirety of it. Are you surprised by how well Man United are doing and how we are still clinging on to this title race?
I wouldn't say surprised. I think it's slowly been building since Skinner took over. In terms of staying consistent, I suppose, I wouldn't even use the word surprised. I think we've been consistently good. We're scraping and grinding out results. I think we've managed to put a run together where, last year there was slip-ups, i.e. Villa away, and it cost us dearly for the league. But I think, in terms of this year, in terms of, the season as a whole, I think we can be sort of pleased with how it's gone.
Absolutely. Whilst you're on the subject of surprises, here's one. Didn't think I'd ever see Connor using the 3-yo greeting, but there it is. Yo, yo, yo. And not content by that, he decided to go for another one moments after actually saying we're talking about jinxes. Absolutely we are, Connor. And this is right up your alley, this one. But yes, TJ has potentially jinxed Mannion, so she now can't come on for the whole 90 minutes. Otherwise, it could spell curtains for TJ on this show. And this was it. How did Harder get injured whilst we're on the subject? That's a great question. Anyone know? No, I'm going to say she was abducted by aliens and she fell out of the spaceship. That's how it happened.
I'm sure it was ankle, wasn't it? Was it an ankle? Something like that.
I mean, yeah, if you're going to land 2-footed, chance you're going to go over on your ankle, isn't there? So, Matt's gone dark. He has been having Wi-Fi problems. So if he does disappear, we will get him back in. But whilst I was talking about surprises with Matt, I kind of wanted to talk about surprises with you two as well, insofar as Spurs. At no point in my life did I think this season we would be talking about Spurs needing to win this game because of the fact that they are embroiled in a fight against relegation. But that's where we are. They are 3 points off of Reading. And, I've got to say this season, best WSL that I think I've seen in a very long time. Entertaining both top of the league and the bottom of the league. The fact that it's just carrying on all the way through and will probably go down to the last weekend is something special. But Spurs down in there for all the wrong reasons. 14 points for them, 13 for Leicester with the same games played. Brighton also with 13 points, but with a game in hand. Reading on 11 points. So Brighton probably in the best position at the moment to try and get away from all of that. But are you surprised about Spurs? Because I am really surprised that we've got Spurs down here in the relegation fight. Sarah.
Yeah, it is surprising. I mean, last season they were challenging up the top, so it's hard to kind of explain how it's happened, but defensively they haven't been great. But obviously England coming in for them in January has made a big difference up front, so she obviously is going to be a massive threat tomorrow. Yeah, very surprised though. It's quite concerning when you think about just how quickly things can flip like that.
It is really scary how quickly it can flick like that. And Ellie, I know you watch a lot of WSL football. how do you feel about what's going on with Spurs? What is happening with Spurs at the moment? Why is it that they are stuck down there at the moment?
I think it's just a lack of quality. Like, yeah, fair enough. Bringing England in January has really, really helped them. Like, to be fair, I think she's the only one keeping them where they are now. Otherwise, they'd be going down, I think. So, yeah, I think England's made a massive impact. But then I also think it's just the injuries that they've had. I think two of them have come back now. But, yeah, it's the injuries that they have. And then the goals that they concede, it's just a bit wild, the goals that they concede. But yeah, I'm so surprised that they're there where they are because, like we've been saying last season, I was fighting for near enough top spot where we are now. But yeah, it's concerning. But like I said, Beth is like the one that's doing it for them right now. Otherwise, they'd be down.
Very good
And
point.
I think it's because the manager as well. She went, didn't she, Vian Skinner? So maybe that played a part. I don't know.
Maybe. TJ saying, I guess we jinxed Matt. It's looking likely. Somebody might have done somewhere. The Gremlins are in his system, but he is trying to get himself back as we speak. TJ's also managed to do a bit of Googling for what happened to Harder, and the answer is it was a hamstring injury, and it was bad enough that she had surgery for it. So there we go. Well done, TJ. Google is your friend. Sarah's point here, spot on. They have the players that just aren't working together. Without England, they would be in a worse state, which is exactly what Highlane says. Let's be real. If they hadn't brought Beth England in May, they'd probably already be confirmed for the drop. They just couldn't score before she came along. She's rescued valuable points for them. And I don't think we can over accentuate just how important Beth England has been for Spurs. They are doing incredibly well at nicking goals every now and again with her. But this is the big thing here. Connor saying Spurs to go down, United to sign England. Would you take her, Sarah?
Yeah, I'd take her. I mean, would she leave? I don't know. I mean, making the move from Chelsea, you could say that was the best thing for her to do. But I mean, if she wanted to come to us, I'd absolutely take her.
Interesting.
Like
Ellie,
any goal scorer.
Oh, yeah, of course we will. With all this going on about honour and Leicester. Yeah, I'll take her any day because I've seen her. She can play. And we know how she can play. But, yeah, if they go down, she's coming back up. I can see it.
I feel like Sarah agrees as well. And Matt, we're literally just on the topic of surprise about Spurs being in the lower reaches of the table as they are. Beth England, would you take her at United?
100%. Why not? I think, there's a lot of talk about Russo potentially going. We need somebody that can just stick the ball in the back of the net, as cliche as that sounds, just do the basics. And I think, she's got the talent. She's played at a higher level than obviously Spurs, and I don't mean that in a bad way. She's got Champions League experience as well, and she's a winner. So I think, it'd be worth a punt trying to get her away from Spurs if we can.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand what Highlane's saying here. I'd definitely take her if Russo goes. It wasn't all that long ago that I was sat here on a panel with Connor. It was just as we were talking about the Euros. And I was making a big claim. I was boldly stating that Leslie Russo was better than Beth England and would score more goals. And she did go on to go and do so and did incredibly well. And of course, I took the credit for it because, like, Serena Wiegman didn't really have anything to do with that, did she? But I'm going to ask you that question now. Russo or England? If you could only have one, because the two of them together, what a substitution that is, one way or the other. Whether England off for Russo, Russo off for England, would be very good. But if you could only have one, which would you take, Sarah?
I'd take Russo. I mean, we still need to keep her, she's crucial. And there are people who say she hasn't reached her best yet. And it's easy to forget how young she still is. So I think, definitely important to hang on to Russo. She should get even better in seasons to come.
Ellie?
It's important I'd say Russo because at the minute I think we know Russo, she's scoring the goals for us. We know, yeah. So keeping her, we just need to keep her. But if she does go, yeah, we'll get England in.
Yeah, absolutely. TJ, you're putting here Leslie's success for England was as a super sub for what it's worth, and that's the point that I'm making. Beth England didn't score very many during the Euros. Russo did from the bench. Hence my point. Russo greater than England. But there we go. Matt, who would you take?
Russo all day long. I think. Listen, Beth England's very good at what she does, but I think for those that watch Russo off the ball and the way she comes deep, the way she brings players in and around her, she holds up the ball. I think for me, she does a better job at that than Beth England does. I know age has been mentioned as well. You know, listen, Beth's not old, but I just think if you look at potential going forward in talent, you know, you've got a better chance there of developing a player that's going to be even better than she already is.
Before the Euros, before the European squad was announced, England was in all the matches, and then Russo came on and scored the goals. Hence why Russo was picked to go to the Euros ahead of Beth England, a fact that I celebrated. Hopefully I've worded that slightly better for you now to point out where I was going with that. But yes, I appreciate the way I worded that a moment ago, made it sound like I'd lost the plot entirely. So there we go. Tony wasn't even listening to the game. Russo or England? No, I'd have Daly. So he's got neither, which was not an answer I expected at all here. It's a tricky one, isn't it? Because I think England's got a lot of ability. That's there. But I think we're seeing already she hasn't scored more than Russo. That might be down to having the ability to score it because the ball's not coming to her feet as much as she could do with the Spurs side, not having the opportunities created for her. But surely there's got to be a little bit in here as well about how Russo is getting more goals than her. Hopefully, if you keep her fit, she's going to do a lot better. To me, 100%, I would definitely choose Russo over Beth England. And yes, here we go. Beth England's 28, Leslie's 24, just so we all know. You can just tell that at the moment TJ is Googling all this stuff that's going on at the moment and I'll just throwing in brilliant facts. And in a minute, I'm going to stop putting his name up and just make it sound like I've come up with all these brilliant stats. So there we go. And here we go. You guys are just agreeing because she is a United player. Who wants to pick that one up? Anyone want to disagree that it's just about because Leslie's a United player?
Me, because I watched her as a 17-year-old in Jordan in the World Cup. Enough said. No, listen, I've followed her before and I championed the signing before United. I've seen Beth England for years as well. And just for me, I just think, like I said before, potential-wise, Russo is the one. You know, I followed her career out in America. She was scoring goals for fun, but not just goals, proper goals, you know, 25, 30, 35 yarders. Yeah, so that's for me. Whether she's a United player or not, it doesn't really matter to me. It's still the Russo.
I think for me, it just comes down to potential. You know, England has no potential. She is what she is. Everybody knows now what Beth England is as a striker. She's not going to reinvent herself as a different type of striker. Russo's got the ability to learn and get more. Haile makes a really good point here, which is, to be fair, when you consider she's only been at Spurs for half a season, the fact that she scored only one goal less than Russo in the league with them is worth mentioning. And absolutely, you know, she no one's doubting how good she can be. But I don't know, very, very interesting one. But I would disagree that we're all saying that just because they're United. But then also having said that, Russo is a United fan. So there is this element of we do love our own when it comes to Man United. And if we know that people love the club just as we do as fans, then in that respect, you are obviously going to have a little bit more of a soft spot for them than you are for anybody else. But, you know, guilty on that one. I mean, why would you not be? So there we go. TJ is a stat man today, Connor. Absolutely. For anyone who's interested, Connor was actually supposed to be here tonight. There was an incredible amount of miscommunication between myself and him last night, which was quite entertaining. And but anyway, he's on his way up. Rather than just going up normally as he would do on a Sunday, he's actually at LSV, I'm presuming, based on this tweet that he's got there. Hopes the weather isn't like this tomorrow. It's chucking it down at LSB currently, which is where Connor is. So, yeah, if you're there, go find him, wind him up a little bit. Why not? Call him Eugene, all that sort of stuff. He loves it. Absolutely loves it. Never upsets him, not once. If you go to the Whistling Wren and you see him with a knife and fork eating a burger, just smack him around the back of the head, because that should not be allowed. As you all know, don't worry, that the hair will cushion the blow, so it's not a problem at all. And James has said it's not the ability. Limited time for Beth at Chelsea. That is a fair point. Is there anyone else in the Spurs side who you feel like we need to look out for on Sunday, Sarah?
I think we just need to make sure that we don't have another red card incident like last time, to be honest. That's what I would say about that.
I mean, you mentioned the red card incident. Do you think that's going to play on anybody's mind? I mean, not necessarily in the match, but like the whole thing, it was very unsavoury, the way that all went, both from the way the Spurs fans ended up being, the way the United fans were. And it was one of those really silly things. I know we talk a lot about the officials, but it never should have been a red card for Tooney. There was never that level of aggression that required a red card. It was a blatant yellow. It never touched the face. Simonon deciding to do what she didn't help her. And I think the problem is that there's a real feeling, I think, amongst the Spurs fans that we just got away with it because we're United, as if that's blatantly what happens. But actually what it came down to is the fact that if Simonon hadn't grabbed her face, the ref wouldn't have sent her off because she was blocked. So, it was a really crazy thing. You wouldn't imagine there to be a similar sort of thing to that. But yeah, Ellie, any players for Spurs who you're particularly worried about moving into tomorrow?
I don't know. I just said Amy Turner because obviously she was one of ours once, but then I think we've got all new players now. But I would have just said she might know how United play in that respect, how we play. But then we've got new managers, so I'd probably say Ash Neville the most. Just be careful of Ash Neville with the tackles and all that. I'd say just starting with the tackle.
She was a good performer in the last game, wasn't she? I'd forgotten about that.
She was,
Yeah.
Matt, what's your thoughts on that? Is Eddie been a little bit sentimental there? I mean, Amy hasn't played for us for quite a while now, so and I'm not 100% on this stat, but I'm not even sure Amy really played under Mark, did she? Because I think she went pretty much when Casey went.
Yeah, Amy was under the Casey era. I'm just trying to think back to previous clubs, but obviously she won't have played under Mark at any of them because obviously Doncaster, Leeds, Sheffield, things like that.
Who's walking through the wind chime?
No, it's the doorbell. Projects through, not the wind chime. But no, I was actually going to chuck in another couple of names, actually, myself. Angrad James being one, and Mana Iwabuchi as well. I think, Iwabuchi at Arsenal was a very good player, somebody I would have taken if we could have done from Arsenal. Probably wasn't possible, obviously, and she's gone to Spurs. But I think, I've not seen much of Tottenham this year, really. But I do think those are two very good players. Angrad James has been sort of, around the WSL for a while now, solid midfielder. And Iwabuchi is very technical. So I think those would be my two to watch out for, as well as Beth.
Fair points. So High Lane again, he's coming out with all the info today. One or two players that have stepped up in recent weeks for Spurs, including, funnily enough, the player involved in the Toon incident, Simonon, scoring twice against Aston Villa. And again, if that's the case, well done to her. Listen, she's a good player. We all know that. It's just, it's something you don't want to see in the game. I, for one, was pleased that the red card was rescinded, because that sent out a massive message that you can't do that in the game. I think if that had not happened, it then encourages people to potentially feel like they can do that. So I was pleased.
That though, I think when we was all in that stadium, whoever went, I think soon as we did think it was a red straight away, because we all thought she actually punched her. But then obviously looking back on it, she just faked it.
Yeah. No, fair points. Sarah says, hopefully Spence won't be like she was last time, moaning, going down all game. Think that annoyed a few of the girls. I'm pretty sure it was her that pushed Hayley Ladd in the back as well. And, to me, that was no different to the Toon thing. So, but got to be careful. Just put those things out on Twitter. People shout at you. So there we go. Neville pinned on a back in the last game. Naughty Neville. And here's the important thing. Connor's now saying, do I join the stream from the LSV car park? Absolutely, Eugene. Get on. Come on. You can show us what's going on your phone. Show us how beautiful the weather is. To prove everybody you're there. Why not?
I might go meet him. He's only down the road. I might just turn up.
Imagine if he turns it on and there's loads of people there all waiting to see him. To find a few footballs then, wouldn't he? Manor was injured last game. Anyone know if she's back? I can't say that I do. No. We'll definitely find out tomorrow, though. So there we go. Talking again of Amy Turner and of the defence and of all of the ways in which Spurs are playing, we've got our own problems in terms of the fact that Katie Zellum obviously is not going to be in the middle of the park. She doesn't tend to miss matches. Sarah, who would you choose to replace Katie Zellum in the game tomorrow? And are you worried about the fact that Katie's not going to be there?
It's not ideal, obviously, but I'm not worried because, the squad depth we have, I think you've got Vilda and then Cascarino as an option in midfield as well. And yeah, I'd go with Vilda. And she's been great with set pieces too this season. So yeah, I think she should step in and do the job.
Right, yeah. Now, Ellie, I know this is going to be a very hard question for you because quite often when we do these things, what tends to happen is that you list every player that could potentially play in there. You might mention somebody who's on loan and you might want to bring those back to play in there. But we need one name today, Ellie. There's rules to this game. Which one player would you choose to replace Katie Zellum?
I'm going to go Casca. Casca tomorrow. Yeah.
Any particular reason?
She's not played that much for us. Yeah, I understand she's only on loan, but come on, give her a chance tomorrow while Katie's not in. No, and don't get me wrong, I love Vilda. I love her so much. She's good for us, but I just think give Casca a go tomorrow. Give her a chance.
Very good answer. Matt, who would you put in that hole?
I'm going to go Vilda Borisa. I just like what she does. I think, there's a lot of people talked about her this year, hasn't there, and said, she's not got a chance and things like that. I appreciate what she does in terms of offering something different to Zellum. I think that could be, something. Are you okay?
I'm not really, because for those of you that don't know, when you're the host, you get to see all of the cameras, including people waiting backstage. At this point, Connor's just been on black all the way through, as if he was just going to be on for audio. He's finally turned his camera on, and all you can see is like the head.
Camera.
So it's just the hair. He looked so happy when he'd finally got the camera to act. He was like, "Yay!" I couldn't keep it in. Sorry. So yeah, Matt, please carry on.
Sorry, I was just saying, Vilda Borisa, offers a little bit of a different sort of style of play to Zellum. Gets stuck in, comes up with a few. Well, I'm going to say one important goals, but a few decent goals as well. I'm thinking of strikes earlier in the season. But yeah, I think certainly as I mentioned, Cascarino is not a bad shout to see what she can do as well. I think we can probably afford the luxury a little bit more with it being Spurs. Maybe test Cascarino out and give her more minutes than she's had. Who knows? But yeah, I wouldn't be against either her or Vilda Borisa.
Well, there we go. Highlane has said, yep, first minutes of WSL action she's going to miss. And TJ answered Sarah's question. Manor came in at 70 minutes for their last game against Brighton. So well done, Chief Googler. Good job. That's Sarah's words, not mine. Sarah says it's better that we miss Zell for this game rather than the ones coming up. I tend to agree. And it's been tweeted that Lisa isn't ready for tomorrow's game, which, yeah, we do know that Mark Skinner has said that. It's an interesting one. Why not bring Turner in and push Mannion into DM? I think the main reason why we'd say no to that is why? Why would we do that? That feels like a little bit of a slight, really, to the midfield players that we've got. It's not like last season when we needed to stick Ladd and Zelen back into the centre-back role because there wasn't anybody else to play. But yeah, that's a very interesting one. Right, we're going to do the moment now. We're going to bring it on at some point. I'm not entirely sure when I'm going to do it. I want to try and do it at the time that's going to embarrass him the most. So carry on speaking for a little bit. Won't be sure. But yeah, there he is. Hello. Live from his car. It's Eugene from The Walking Dead.
Can you hear me all right, by the way? Because I don't know where the mic.
Can hear you.
Oh, there we go.
It's all working all right then. It's not bad, this, is it? I don't know which audio it's using. I don't know whether it's using the car or whether it's using my phone. So I don't know how clear this is. But yeah, it's not good weather up here. I can say that. Well, Matt's only down the road, any. But I mean, come on. I've wiped the window about 5 times since I've been waiting backstage. So there we go. Lovely LSV. Waiting for some. Hopefully, it's a bit better tomorrow. But yeah,
I feel like now's the sort of time to tell you, Connor, that if this was the other way around, surely you'd be telling me to turn my phone around by now.
Well, I don't know what's going
So
on.
there's a sort of a landscape view. I mean,
I could.
with the black curtains going on, you look like you're at the cinema.
Well, there's nothing in the back apart from my current United scout. I'm doing a tour of my car for some reason. But there we are. What were we talking about? You were talking about Vilda, weren't you?
Connor, we've been talking a lot about Spurs. Just give us your overview. What are you thinking about this game tomorrow? Are you looking forward to the game against Spurs? Is there anything that worries you?
Well, I don't you'd be talking about Spurs, considering it's Spurs preview. But yeah, to be honest, I'm sorry. I've been driving on my own for 2.5 hours, so I'm a bit. Oh. I don't know what's going on. Anyway, Spurs. No, I'm not. I've turned my back windscreen wiper on now for some reason. Anyway, it's all going wrong. Spurs tomorrow. No, I'm not worried. You know, Bething is their only real threat. I know Matt just mentioned a couple of other players that potentially could cause issues. Maybe I think they'll score, but they're not going to keep us quiet for that long. Their defense has not been great. I think, you're talking about Zelen coming out, Borisa, Cascarino, whoever it is, you're not going to see a massive drop-off. These players have got more than enough quality. These are players that have played, around Europe and on big stages. They can handle that, I'm sure. So whoever comes in, I'm not massively worried. To be honest, I would be looking at this game as a chance to potentially boost the goal difference a little bit because we've got a good goal difference. I was listening to you guys talk about defence and things like that, but Chelsea are closing in, and it might come down to that. If they do get that draw and, Arsenal, we beat City, we're going to be level going into the last game of the season. We might need that buffer. So, yeah, if we can win comfortably, just stat pad the goal difference a little bit.
Interesting stuff. We're going to take a quick look through the comments there whilst you carry on shaking that phone about like still driving over the show there. Sarah's pointed out VBR might come in and great 3 kicks, which is absolutely true. Revlon's mentioned that being a DM is demanding. And Matt, our very own genius here, has mentioned that it could work the other way around because Millie Turner used to be a defensive midfielder. So who knows? I'd still say pick one of the actual midfielders, though. Highlane says it's important not to get complacent, Connor, just because Spurs are down in the relegation scrap. Villa, I think, did that and suffered for it, and I'd argue we kind of did that in the away fixture too, possibly. Yehuda thinking it might be too adventurous to suggest Casca for Zelen, but also VBR for Tooney, who hasn't been at her best for some time. Interesting. Trek saying about this criticism about Tooney not scoring goals. She's only 1 assist off the league lead, held by Honor and Wrighton. Also true. TJ is a little bit worried about what you've done and is also a bit nervous about the steering wheel being on the wrong side. That's a completely different conversation, TJ, and I think we all know that you're wrong. TJ, isn't it more about her general play? Norman saying, stay tight to half-time. Bring Vilda in when Spurs tie. See, I think that's the wrong way. I think we do need to go out there and attack. Dan has turned up. You'll be able to see down on the men's channel. He's finally cracked, this professionalism that he has when he's hosting. It doesn't exist. It's not a real thing. It's really not. He gives it all this all the time. But this is Connor. This is Connor. This is what I put up with on a day-to-day. And then people wonder why I do it back to him. But there you go.
Authentic is the word, Barry.
Authentic. Yes, it's candid Connor. Oh, now looking at the ceiling. It'd be better if you had a skylight, to be honest. But there we go. Well, good. I don't really know where to go after all this. That's absolutely blown my mind. Are we expecting a big crowd, Connor? You know these sorts of things. Are we expecting a big crowd for the game tomorrow?
Well, it's weird because obviously LSV have Man United or whatever, they've changed the ticketing map to the Lee Sports Village one where you can't see individual seats. You can just buy tickets now, which they do anyway close to the game time, so you can't actually see what's left. Somebody was telling me earlier that this could be close to a sellout, which seems pretty surprising if it is. I mean, it's going to be better. Obviously, I know they announced Arsenal was a sellout. That was obviously different because it was midweek and a lot of people didn't return tickets. So it was only about six and a half, I think it was. I mean, they opened up the terrace because the other 3 stands were sold out. So there's a possibility it could be one of the highest. With it being Sunday, it's obviously bank holiday weekend as well. We might see a really good attendance, but yeah. So I really don't know because you can't count the tickets as you usually would. Looking at the United map anymore because they've got the LSV version. But I don't know. I have seen a few United fans obviously already staying at the same hotel dotted around. So. There's a few. I saw Yehuda saying I got there early. I just got confused. I saw the Barclays keep tweeting it was the 12th of March. I thought, well, I'll try my luck, see if it's today. So I just thought I'd turn up early. Just, you never know. So I don't know. It could be a really good attendance, which is good to see. I was saying to somebody before I left that the fact that last season we're looking at 1.5K average for over the season. This season we must be pushing 5 or 6 because we've had a lot of high attendances here this season. And next season, I wouldn't be surprised if they open up that terrace for pretty much every game because that's the way it's looking going into next season, off the back end of this season especially.
And that's, Sarah, something that's been amazing about this season, isn't it? Is that for all the talk of Chelsea being the best fan base in the league, Arsenal thinking they've got the best fan base, all of those sorts of things, the real truth of this season is that if you were to look at the attendances of all of the WSL clubs, ours has not only grown the most, but it's been the most consistent and the highest across all WSL clubs. What does that tell us about Manchester United?
Well, I think it says a lot about, I'm very excited about next season and just how things are going to grow even more. I mean, you can go into all the things of, could the club be doing more to promote the women's team and stuff. And that's, there's obviously always room for improvement there. But I think this team is really exciting people this season. And there's just, even here, for example, in Ireland, obviously we have a huge fan base here, but I don't know how many United fans in Ireland would be sort of regular watchers of the women's team, even on TV. But I've had people come up to me and, they're aware of our form, and that has surprised me. And a lot of these people aren't even necessarily United fans, or I wouldn't have thought they'd be fans of women's football in general, but it seems to be catching a lot of people's attention overseas even. And I just, considering that we haven't qualified for the Champions League yet at this stage, I think that's pretty impressive. So it makes me wonder if we do for next season, hopefully, how much more is it going to grow? How much more attention will this team get? And it really does excite me.
Very much so. We'll come to Ellie and Matt's thoughts and all that in just a second. But Yehuda's also wrong about how cars should be built, but we'll let you off. You can't be right about everything, Yehuda. Sorry about that. Revlon has mentioned about Tooney. It's more about general play that he was talking about rather than it being the assists or the shots. Sarah saying we'll miss Zell's defensive side, but bring on VBR is more attack-minded, which we would want. Jennifer said Connor has got the collie wobbles. Yeah, collie wobble Connor. Nice. Like that one. TJ saying Connor's going to give me motion sickness. I think he's giving it to himself because, oh no, he's back. There we go. So there we are. And yeah, this is where we get to that bit. There we go. Law stand was open pretty late. Our fans are the best. The numbers back it up. The product is good at United Women. Absolutely true. I would walk about, but ain't standing in the rain. Of course not. You've got that hairstyle to maintain. Otherwise, you're not walking in there. Otherwise, looking like you're the Diet Coke man or something when you get into there. Like, all that with the hair everywhere. So, hi, I'm here to check in. We could just imagine that. Oh, what a thought, Connor. What a thought. But yeah, so Ellie, where would you stand with this? You've been to, I would wager, every single home game and the vast majority of away games this season. What have you noticed that's different about the fan base this season?
I'd say there's a lot more people and a lot more men. I would have thought there's been a lot more men this season with like the girls, little girls or little boys, and there've been more boys. So I think the generation is just growing more. There's old people, young people, and then in between like teenagers and all that. And then I think it's growing because obviously the standard section is mostly open up for all the games. But even the away games, I feel they've gone better and better because the fans just keep preparing every away game. But like I've said, at the Arsenal at the Emirates, that away section was full as anything. You had everyone coming from London, even people travel to come see us play, which is so good. So yeah, like what's been mentioned, Champions League next season, I think we'll sell it out big if like say we get Leon at Lee Sports Village, we will sell it out. So yeah, really good things coming for United, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you mentioned the Champions League. Arsenal obviously had their semi-final game at the Emirates, which was a supposed sellout. We say supposed because there's always people that get tickets and don't necessarily go. But certainly there were no tickets left to sell. So you would hope that if United were to have similar fortune in getting to a semi-final or something like that, who knows? Maybe we could do that. And I did like the idea that all of the Champions League games were at the Emirates rather than Boreham Wood. But there we go. Matt, again, loads happening this season. It's been really, really good to watch. What is it that you think's brought these fans in? Because I've always maintained emotional investment is what matters in football. Not just women's football, men's football, whatever. You are emotionally invested in the product. What is it that you think captured the emotion of these 4,000, 5,000, 6,000 people that are regularly returning back?
I think winning helps, and I'm not stating the obvious. It really is, but I just think it's a relatable team. You know, Ellie's talked about meeting new people in different faces, so I think there's like the social aspect for fans pre-post match. I just think the enjoyment of the women's game, and this is the reason I got into women's football like years ago, was the fact that I enjoyed it more than the men's game. I think the men's game is just full of money, full of cheating, full of stuff that I personally didn't like. And I just think with the women's team, it's more relatable. It's like a sense of pride, I think, especially after the sort of upheaval and the up and down of the men's side over the past, I don't know, what should we say, 4 or 5 years. You know, I just think it's a team where people can get behind. Obviously, it's taken off after the Euros in terms of, you know, the game growing and fans coming in. But I just think the price as well, you know, I know it's going up next year, but that's still very affordable, even with the increase to next year. So I think that helps. You know, it's good for a family day out. You can go with your parents, your kids, for example, and it wouldn't cost you any more than sort of 60, 70 quid in terms of the ticket cost. And yeah, I just think overall it's, you know, it's a good atmosphere. It's obviously it's a small stadium league, so you feel a bit more, I don't know what's the word, like you're in a smaller number, aren't you? You're not one of, say, 70,000 at Old Trafford, and I think that's, you know, it's a nice little thing. Obviously we all love, you know, going to Old Trafford, and hopefully the dream one day will be, you know, to see that packed and sold out. But I think for now, you know, it's slowly building. You know, the club is evolving year on year, getting better. Champions League, I think, will take us to another level as well in terms of fan base. And then, you know, you've got sort of the added bonus of TV and things like that increasing, and promotion increasing off the pitch and things. I think that massively helps as well.
No, absolutely. And I mean, Sarah, I'll come to you on this one really, but the FA Cup final, my understanding is, I could be entirely wrong by saying this, but my understanding is this is the first time the FA Cup final is sold out within the women's game. Is it any surprise really that that's happened the minute Man United enter the conversation?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I would have expected it to sell out this year, just given the amazing response to women's football after the Euros and everything. And I think, you know, people appreciate the growth of our women's team. I mean, obviously, if you're like a fan of a rival club, you don't, but people would expect us to be where we are, you know, like it's appropriate that, given the amazing club that it is, that our women's team should be at this level. And I think a United Chelsea final is something that a lot of people will relish seeing, it, you know, even if they're neutrals. So it doesn't surprise me.
Good, because it shouldn't surprise people. I don't think the minute United get mentioned, these sort of things do happen. And I just want to point out, Dan's mentioned here, Ellie's spot on, by the way. Being able to sit down with my little girls and watch something that is relatable to them has made a world of difference to the enjoyment they get watching football. And I'm sure Ellie won't mind me saying as well, she's right, because it's applied to her as well. You know, we've seen Ellie grow herself over this last season. The confidence that she's come out with here on the channel and how often she's coming in. The fact that you're off playing football yourself now as well, inspired by these very girls that you go to watch all the time. This is the legacy of what women's football can have. And it just goes to show what a positive impact these girls are having. TJ, will there be a difference whether we make it to the UWCL group stage versus only getting to the qualifiers like City keep doing? Yes, because when we win the league, that'll be something City haven't done for a while. So, you know, what a question. Sarah's right. We're totally in Arsenal's head right now. I've never seen so many of them bantering about us. Yes, Arsenal are right there with it, aren't they? And every local association has an allocation, and the participating clubs get whatever is remaining, which is a bit naff. That is quite annoying. We would have had more, would have sold more. Simple as that, really. Connor, you're going to Wembley, aren't you? Oh, there we go. I knew he was there. Not like Beetlejuice. You don't have to say his name 3 times. Connor. There he is. Oh, no. You're off to Wembley. We know that. Obviously, you're there for tomorrow as well. What's your thoughts? Because you were obviously not at a few games early this season, but you've been to the last few. What is it that you've noticed about United in general and how we are just growing exponentially, it feels? What do you put it down to?
I mean, there's a number of factors. Obviously, the team doing well has helped. You know, you're getting people now going, oh, United are top of the league, United are pushing for this, you know, and so on. So that obviously is always going to help no matter what team you are. The better you do, the more fans you bring in. The Lioness has obviously helped. Russo and Toon would, if this is never going to happen, by the way, but if Russo, Toon and Earps are all to leave, would we get the same attendances? I don't think we would. I think it would drop. We see that at games, you know, even Villa away. There was a sold out away end. I can't remember how many it was, maybe 1,000 odd in that section behind the goal that we had. I'd say about a good 50-60% were there just to try and meet Toon, Russo and so on, which is fine. It helps with the numbers and that's great if that's what you want to go to games for. But it depends what you mean by growing the fan bases. To, you know, you have different types of fans. Some people are not fans of clubs, they're just fans of players and so on. Each of their own, doesn't really bother me. But it's been good, you know, Wembley sold out, you know, that everyone's got their own views on that, whether they should have been sold. Sorry, by the way, for moving my camera about. I'm trying to like lean on the side and hold my phone still, but I'm well aware that I'm moving it about still. So apologies for that. Just listen to what I'm saying. You don't need to see me.
All of that can easily be counteracted by everybody just grabbing theirs and just doing the same thing. And then eventually, if they move in perpetual motion with you, they won't feel quite so ill.
Do you know what I was just saying in our little private chat? Do you know what's really cool, really off topic, by the way? If I change to my back camera, how cool is that, by the way? I don't know where you can see that. That's the AFU thumbnail on my car dash. So that's quite cool. So I'm just, you know, whatever. So I've never seen that before. But
I'm starting to wonder if you wanted to come on because you wanted to talk about United or if you just wanted to show your car off.
But like I said in the chat, I was going to get out and go and stand by LSV, but not in this weather. I'm not. You can forget that. I'm not that committed. But no, in terms of Wembley, everyone's got their own views on it, whether tickets should have been sold beforehand and so on. I think looking back, I tweeted at the time they shouldn't have been. They probably should have, but maybe not as much as they did. I think, selling it in advance, because if they only started selling tickets when United and Chelsea got to the final, I don't think it would have sold out. But I don't know. I'm not going to get into all that because there's so many arguments for and against it. But the underlying thing is, it's great to see. I said to somebody the other day that it's not just over here; it's growing. You're getting record attendances in Germany. You're seeing it in Spain, in Italy, in France. You're seeing it across Europe and obviously America and other leagues as well. So it's just good overall. Everyone seems to be along for the ride. You mentioned Arsenal fans. I'm never tweeting about Arsenal from the AFU account again because that just gets me harassed, as I found out. But I think that's a good from a United point of view. It shows that we're now relevant in the conversation. Before we've kind of been in and amongst it, but we kept falling out. This season, you can tell the intimidation's there because I think everyone now knows something massively wrong is going to happen for us to drop out of this top three now. And as I think TJ put in the comments, hopefully this time, however I know there's some weird, the way the qualifying works. I think if Wolfsburg win the final and Bayern win the league, like first place doesn't get it automatically. There's some really weird ways of the qualifying stages of the Champions League. Hopefully I just want to see us in the group stages, get us in the groups and have some real good nights, whether that's at LSV at Old Trafford, because that will only help push this team in terms of attendance forward even more.
Absolutely. So there we go. TJ, yes, I did give a Beetlejuice reference. Absolutely 100% did. And why would you not? That was the obvious one. And thank you, Yehuda. I appreciate that very much. Connor's right. They did used to ignore us. Not anymore. Impossible to ignore. Hated, adored, but never ignored. I think VBR said she's never played at Wembley. Well, it doesn't surprise me. I don't think many of the United players have really, unless they've been turning out for international duty. So that would be quite something. UEFA should stop this qualifiers nonsense for the top three clubs of the top four leagues for me. We need to take it. Listen, that's a conversation about how everything in women's football needs to grow. Just a quick shout out for how important it is that this season will be the last season that the winner of the WNL Northern Division and Southern Division will have to play off having won their respective leagues to try and get into the championship. So well done, the FA, for finally sorting yourselves out and making it so that if you win the league, you actually get promotion. What an absolutely novel idea that is. Let's hope they can continue it by doing some more of this. Absolutely. Right. It's time to go around and find out what people think. Sarah, big game tomorrow. We need the win. It's vital. If we don't win it, title's gone, and it will just be about top three. What's the score going to be?
I'm going to go 2-1.
2.
Oh, to Spurs, obviously. No, to United. 2-1 United.
Imagine if you meant that. Oh, my God. Oh, what a way to start that would have been. But yeah, okay, 2-1 United, so you're feeling it's going to be tight. What say you, Ellie Green?
3-1 United. 3-1.
So you're feeling a lot more confident. Interesting about the one, though. Why do you think we're going to concede the one? A minute ago, we were all quite content about the defence and not conceding, but both of you have us conceding one. Is it the England effect?
Yeah, for me it is, yeah. I hope I'm wrong, but...
Well, it's because they've got a fight on their hands as well. So they want to try and get the point.
Mm-hmm.
Good points, ladies. Good points. Matt, what about you?
I've gone for 3-0 in predictions, and I'm going to stick with that. I'm backing the clean sheet.
See,
I think with that, Beth England was apparently ill or not feeling great last week. She came off. So does that play into our hands? Maybe. She might hopefully with any luck not make it at all. But even if she does, listen, I still back the clean sheet at home with a 3-0 win.
Absolutely. Condog, what about you?
I'm trying to remember what I went on the predictions. I'm pretty sure I went 3-1, so I should probably stick with that. The one is purely just because of Beth England. If you take her out of that side, I wouldn't even consider them scoring. It's purely her. So, yeah, I'll stick with 3-1. But I think Matt could be right. If England's not fully with it, I can't see them scoring.
Very good. Couple of little things here in the comments. Jennifer Jordan saying United/Skinner needs to play Williams, Garcia and Thomas more often from the start. Perhaps bring on Russo and Tuno later for greater impact a la England, maybe. Sarah shouted out the word jinx. I'm not sure why. Somebody's done a jinx. So if you could let us know what bit we've jinxed, that will make that a lot more relevant because I don't know when you put that. TJ's gone 3-1. Yehuda's gone 3-1. Jennifer Jordan, oh my goodness, she's gone 2-2. I really hope you're wrong, Jennifer Jordan. I really
If
hope
it's a
you're
Fergie time winner, I'm not complaining. Fergie time winner again.
No more jeopardy, Ellie. No more jeopardy. Can we just win 5-0 and be done with it? I can't. My poor heart. I won't make it to her.
It's me. I'm the jinx, apparently.
Condor went 4-1, apparently.
When did I say? Unless TJ's got some insider access to the prediction.
I mean, Revlon's gone 3-0. But it's perfectly okay for him to change it. That's what he'll have you believe. Absolutely. That is what he would have you believe. So, I just wanted to end on something a bit quirky. Shortly, we're going to be going over to I will be over to the men's channel. Double duty, a little bit of Saturday Night Live. Feel free to come and join us with one of the originals. It's nice, actually, because, Matt, you are one half of the Saturday Night Live duo, and we've had you on this half of the Man United evening. We've got Benny coming over onto the other half. So there we go. Maybe one day soon we'll be able to reunite the pair of you in like This Is Your Life fashion. But in case you've been living under a rock today, it was the coronation of the king. And I thought, why not have a coronation of our very own? Who would we say is the queen of Manchester United women? Now, when I asked this question in the men's channel, there's going to be a wealth of people to choose from, as they have a very rich 150-year history. We have a little bit less to choose from. But who would you pick as your queen? Past, present, not future, because we don't know that. Who would be your queen of LSV? Who would we choose? Sarah, I'm going to let you pick.
I'm saying Millie Turner for several reasons. I know John Kermode was calling for a statue of her after her heroics against Villa, so that's a good enough reason. Also, she's been there since the start, and I just love her overall passion, her enthusiasm. To me, she's just, if you need a poster girl for United Women, for me, it would be her. And just also, everything she's overcome recently with the health scare that she had, quite a serious one. It's very inspiring. So I'd pick Millie for all of those reasons.
Oh.
Okie dokie. We've got a few other people. TJ's gone with Honor. So is High Lane. Telling everybody else they're wrong if it's not Honor. Jennifer's gone Honor. And wow, bold, cool, apparently there for you. This is brilliant, Jennifer. I'm going to forgive you for your 2-2 now. Katie Zellemaz, The Spare, which is, of course, the title of Prince Harry's autobiography book that he did. So I'm impressed with that. Well done. Good knowledge. Norman's gone Mary. Sarah's gone Millie. Sarah's both agreeing. Ellie, who's your queen of LSB?
I don't know. I'm going to say Rachel because she's proved everyone wrong this season, I think. Really has. That season, nobody really wanted her. She's just come and proved everyone wrong. Like, she's been scoring these late winners as well as Millie. Like, she took us to Wembley, really. Otherwise, it would have gone to 10. So I'd say Rachel. There
we go. So we've had Queen Millie, Queen Rachel. Matt, who are you crowning?
Do you know what? I'm going to go for our record goal scorer and record appearance holder, Tooney. I was thinking Mary, but I think I'm going to stick with Tooney just because I think season 5 now, it's not finished, but I'm going to say over the 5 years, I just think we've seen the progression, whether that's been the role she played in the Championship, whether that's, you know, the first season, the second season, so on. I think, you know, there's been times where she's kind of lit up LSV, and I think I've been, you know, obviously delighted to follow a journey with England as well. I think there's a lot more to come from there as well.
Sorry.
Ellie, are you okay?
She hasn't seen okay. She's seen something. I think Connor's made her laugh. But there we go. So there we go. So we've had Cinderella, we've had Coachella, and now we've got Queen Ella. So there we go. Very good. Connor. Now I'm going to have to help you all out here because in our little private chat, he's put mine's defo going to be different. And then he's gone, nah, that was mine. So I get the feeling you're going to go Rachel Williams.
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's honour. You know, I think she's. Well, I've said before, I don't think we've got a play. I don't think there's a player in Europe like her. Whereas I think others you could probably look to replace. But the reason why I'd say Rachel, purely similar to what Ellie just said, everyone wrote her off when we signed, and nobody wanted her. You know, everyone was so critical of it at the time. Like even people that were, you know, like some of us on this channel who were usually very positive about signings were a bit like, oh, don't really understand that, but you know, we'll get behind her and everything else. She's proven everyone wrong. She's been fantastic to see. And do you know why I'd say her as well? It's purely because of just her personality. You know, the fact that when she's talking about it, she's like, yeah, when I finish football, I'm going back, you know, just carrying on my plastering and things like that. And she just seems like a good person to be around. And I think in the dressing room, I think a lot of them probably do look up to her and just seems like a role model for the squad. So somebody like, I mean, you could name all of them, couldn't you? Everyone's got their favourite player or the person that you could put forward. It's either like your favourite player doesn't have to necessarily be the best in the team. And yeah, I just think Rachel, because I just think she's just a cool person. Charlie, you know, it was the first game of the season, wasn't it? You know, Charlie and Rachel instantly hit it off, mates from the off. And I know Ellie's had some interactions with her as well. But yeah, I just think purely for that reason, I just think she was so, like, not hated on, but I think there was so much backlash to the signing. And, you know, as Ellie said, some of the goals she scored this season, Reading, Brighton, spring to mind straight away. She certainly paid us back.
Well, there we go. TJ. Nearly might be the best in the team for social media too. Yehuda's gone for Mary. Tony's asked the question, who's captain tomorrow? And unfortunately, Tony, Mystic Meg's dead. So we're going to have to wait until tomorrow to find out the answer to that particular question. Because I'm not Mark Skinner. I have some influence, but that one I can't help you with. Aoife has quite the comeback story. Absolutely. Jennifer, you could have gone for the other Harry. Took me a while to realise you meant Maguire. I was thinking Redknapp. Mary's redemption story from where I was quitting football. Rob suggesting that Connor could pick Aoife for many reasons. But there we go. The less said about that, the better. And TJ's okay with that, Connor. Well done. Highlands put it'll be one of honour or lad. I mean, it's interesting. And I think this is the whole thing. The Queen doesn't necessarily have to be, as you said, the best player, the most influential. It just has to be someone. I think I probably would have gone along with what Matt had to say there. Ella Toone for me, I think I would have to go with that. You said it yourself, record goal scorer at the moment, record appearances, you know, European Cup winner now as well with England. Everything she does is about this club. She's put her future to us. I think I joke about it all the time, but she's contracted to something like 2027, 28. She's just United through and through. So, yeah, Matt, I think I would go with you on that one. If we're talking about someone who loves the club just as much as we do, it would be super.
I think I read as well, she scored the most goals for England in the last 12 months as well. I think the number was 15, something like that.
So there we go. Interesting here. What's this? I'm going by precedent here. Honour wore the armband for most of the Conti Cup games, but then Lad wore it in the Durham game. That would have been my guess. I would have thought.
I think Mary will, to be honest. Mary.
You think Mary's going to have the armband? Is that?
I'd go for Mary tomorrow. Yeah.
Okay, there
Mary
we go.
Honour or Mary.
And Sarah says, why don't United have an official vice captain? My guess would be because Katie Zellam's always playing, so what's the point? Until games like today. So there we go. And Revlon, this is a lovely place to pretty much leave the show as you're agreeing with me, and that's the way all shows should end, really. I am going to do my little wrap up, but just before I do, I know that Uncle Connor wants to have a word with you. We have an announcement from Uncle Connor, who's now going to go. So take it away, Eugene.
You had to get that in there, didn't you? Of course.
You can sing it in the style of Elvis if you want.
No. You don't want that. I'm a bit. You know, I'm like I've spoke a lot since I've been on here, but I'm not quite singing level yet. No, it was just very quickly. If everyone isn't following the Twitter, please do. We have a huge collaboration next week. I don't know when it's going to be out, but it will be before the cup final. I cannot say any more about it other than it is massive for the channel, for the people that are going to be appearing. So just keep an eye on the Twitter because it'll be announced probably some point mid next week. It'll be before the final. It is United Women related. Obviously, it's ahead of the cup final and things like that. But yeah, just keep an eye on the Twitter for that because it is a massive opportunity and something that, yeah, I never thought we'd get to that point. So yeah, just keep an eye on the socials is all I say for that next week. Yeah, just wanted to give that a shout out. I'm sure I'll do the same on Monday as well. But yeah, keep an eye out for that one. It's a huge collaboration coming ahead of the final.
There we go then. So that's your little teaser. Hopefully that has got you absolutely, just full of excitement. If you weren't already excited about Sunday and now you've got that to look forward to as well, goodness, we're spoiling you all, aren't we? So there we go. Connor, just be careful you don't get too excited that you end up, a bit too close to the players than you should be. So enjoy. Hope you have a great day tomorrow, Connor. Enjoy it. Sarah, brilliant to have you here. Thank you so much for joining us again. Ellie, lovely to have you back on. Thank you. Oh, look at that. He's showing us out. So let's be.
I just thought I'd end the shot. I'll just hold my phone over LSV and just leave it.
Hold on, what being funny? Did you park in the car park or are you still on the motorway?
No, I'm at the Holiday Inn car park. So yeah, still
there we go. So now everyone knows where you are, Connor. Superb. I want placards. Eugene out. Eugene out. Be amazing. Anywho, but yeah, Ellie, thanks. Matt, brilliant to have you back again as well. Thank you so much. Remember, men's channel, about 10 minutes time. We're back over for Saturday Night Live. Probably going to be a little bit less exciting than this one due to the joys of Thursday night, but we'll see what we can do as Andrew Wall is joining us. Good old Andy, along with Dan, who's been in the comments tonight, and of course, Benny as well, not to mention resident statistician John Commode, who will be with us too, who incidentally has got a piece out on Sarah's rather wonderful blog. Tell us all about it again, Sarah. Where can people find that? Should they have 5 minutes with a cup of tea?
Yeah, coffee preferably, but no, it's reddevilwomen.com. And John has been fantastic with his articles lately. I always love publishing them. So definitely check that out. It's a brilliant analysis of the run-in.
There we go. So all good fun. Get yourself over to the men's channel should you wish to. But if we can't see you there, have a great day tomorrow. Enjoy Sunday. We will be seeing you Bank Holiday Monday live again, back through your telly box or indeed your T-phone, should you have one of those. Have they been invented by that point? But we should look forward definitely to seeing you on Monday night. Well, I assume that Charlie's going to be back. I know how much you all love her. So she'll be back. Connor will be back from LSB and back in the host's chair, so probably a little bit less enjoyable than he is tonight. So we shall see. But superb. Thank you very much, everyone, and we will see you all on Monday.